Red Flags of Emotional Repression Part 50, Sexual Repression and Compulsion. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone who's repressing their emotions from childhood who's not also repressing their sexuality to some degree, whether that shows up as a compulsion to not have sex or a compulsion to. More on this momentarily, but first, why are emotional repression and sexual repression so closely related? Well, both expressing our emotions and expressing our sexuality are a powerful part of the natural expression of our life force as human beings. One of the most important things to recognize about the mechanism of emotional repression is that when we're repressing things, emotions or energies, we want others to be repressing those same things too, right? If I'm not allowed to, neither are you. So if we were raised and conditioned by caregivers or a culture that themselves were raised and conditioned to repress their emotions or sexuality, then chances are they're going to raise us that same way too. Which means everyone in a repressed family or culture, to one degree or another, will be laboring under the illusion that in order to survive, which is to say, to stay safe or get love, they'll have to bury their life force. And when we bury our life force, or who we are, there's only one thing left to do: pretend. So how does all this tie into sexual repression, and how does all this tie into sexual compulsion? Well, this may come as a surprise, but they're actually the same thing. Sexual repression drives sexual compulsion. Think of it this way. How long do you think you could hold down your sexual life force until it comes bursting out in either a dysfunctional or even destructive manner? If you don't know from your own experience, you could ask a Catholic priest, you could ask an evangelical conversion therapist, you could ask a conservative politician, or anyone who's been involved in purity culture. Remember, when we bury what's true, we're forced to identify with what's false. So in those three cases, burying their sexuality or sometimes sexual orientation forces them to present as good people, right, with Christian values. But we all know how that ends. Now, on the flip side, those who mistake sexual compulsion, which as we know is driven by sexual repression, for sexuality. These are your free spirits, the sexually liberated, the sex positive, the sexual freedom fighters. Those whose opponents on the repressed right might deem bad, deviant, or even dangerous. But let's look at this for a second. Might this be a case of methinks thou doth protest too much? Might it be that since emotional repression robs us of the power of authentic expression, fighting for sexual freedom is a red herring? What if it's just that you've never been allowed to be yourself? If this is the case, I submit to you that you are in emotional repression and not allowing you to be yourself. If you truly were allowing you to be you, meaning if you were out of emotional repression, why would you need to fight to be you? Again, when we bury what's true, childhood emotions and energies, we're forced to identify with what's false. Free, radical, progressive people. And look, ultimately, sexuality, when you take all of the labels off of it, like good, bad, right, wrong, should, shouldn't, is like eating or sneezing. And what's the point of fighting against or for sneezing? It's just going to happen. It's neutral. But when we're in emotional repression, it takes on a lot more weight and meaning, because when we're emotionally repressed, in order to stay safe, get love, and survive, we need enemies. Or the alternative is coming out of emotional repression and recognizing on a somatic level that you don't need any of that in order to be yourself. If you'd like to learn how to do that, link is in caption or bio.